the other thing I wanted to talk to you about was, is like, how much did the press play into like really doing a lot of negative spins on Dow's administration, on the workings of like very knowingly knowing how things actually work in city council, but then going to the public and twisting and turning it to make it seem as if this was something that was atypical that was going on. And how did you guys, like, how did Hanson, the mayor, and yourself, what were your plans? How did you try to counter what the Chronicle was doing? You know what I mean?
Yeah. The Chronicle was disappointing. I'll first start off by saying this, and it's kind of one of my favorite things to say. You know how they say democracy is the worst form of government besides all the governments that came before it?
Yeah.
Freedom of the press is horrible except for the alternative.
Yep.
Well, and especially in a corporate press environment. But I just want to emphasize, like, you know, it can be frustrating dealing with the press. Some press outlets, some reporters, it give or take depending on who it is. It can be frustrating to deal with, and it can be really great to deal with, work with other reporters on stuff. They're great, good reporters, or bad reporters. There's bad editors, there's good editors. It's a whole, you got to understand the whole, you know, Kevin, you worked in the press a long time. You got to understand the whole dynamic of the press and who, you know, might have, you know, relationships, say, with Sam Singer or what have you, you know, or these other people, or people who are like, I got to go out, film this press conference, get it done in an hour, and then submit it for the nightly news tonight. So you don't have a lot of time to get into the nitty gritty. You know, it's a 1-minute segment. They're not going to talk about, you know, these details and stuff. So it's really challenging. You know, she had 2 press directors when I worked there. She had Francis and she had Casey Pratt, and I worked with them in some capacity. I helped them write press releases and stuff like that. And you know, it was challenging. Here, stop. It was challenging for a number of reasons. One, you know, Chris Moore, Edward Escobar, Seneca, the sort of doom loopers, they have all the free time in the world to hold 20,000 press conferences. So one thing you saw is, you know, businesses getting burglarized or what have you, really horrible situations. And it was pretty bad in 2020. Not even pretty bad. It was horrible in 2023. It was really bad. And what they started doing is every time a business got broken into, they would not talk to the business. They would go to do a press conference out front of the business and then get all these press to come out. And then they would just blame Thao for it all, and Pam Price, right? And they would do this every week. And the press, a lot of the TV press would just come eat it up and then leave, right? And there were a few businesses when they got broken into, I did a lot of constituent services. So when businesses would get broken into, I would often reach out to them and see how we can get OPD to come support them and what have you. And multiple times I had these business owners reach out to me and be like, there's some people holding a press conference outside my business. Like, what are they doing? Like, they were just taking advantage of these things for this stuff. And it's not like they had the businesses out there to say, oh, you know, Thao reached out to us. You know, Thao came and visited this morning or anything like that. They just were able to say whatever they want. So there was that. The Chronicle editorial board in particular was very frustrating. The Sarah Ravani is the reporter out there. She's pretty good. I like her. I like Sarah, you know, but you know that reporters, you know, have to defer to their editorial board. And one of the big disappointing moments was when the Chronicle, you know, went to, what is his name? The Oakland Report guy. What's his name? Tim Gardner.
Yeah.
So Gardner went to the Chronicle and was like, hey, OPD is releasing police data that changes over time, right? That changes over time. So it's inaccurate and you can't use it. And this was when crime was declining. And so the Chronicle writes a whole piece after crime is declining in Oakland to say, oh, you can't trust these numbers. They're bad. And this has been a reporting method that Oakland has used for a decade, the police reporting method. And it's the exact same method that San Francisco uses. If you look at both of the police reporting, you'll see on the bottom, it'll say, this data can change as more reports come in. And so if you looked at last week's data and saw XYZ had happened, you know, someone on Sunday, so it cuts off on Sunday, I'm sorry, someone on that Monday could call and report, oh, hey, this crime happened to be last week. And then you would have to adjust reporting. There's no way of giving 100% real-time accuracy, but there were some areas that like homicides, for example, they were shooting down. And what do you think the city's hiding bodies? So the Chronicle reported this, oh, you can't trust these numbers, didn't look at any of the other cities that were using the same one, singled out Oakland. The editorial board did this whole thing. And then after Thao was recalled, they did a whole report like crime is down in Oakland.
Oh.
And it was just like, it was really disappointing because they brought in, what's her name? Rachel
Swan.
Yeah, Rachel Swan to do that piece. But the person who normally covered Oakland was Sarah Ravani, who is very familiar with the details of Oakland because she covers here. But they brought in Rachel Swan to do this report, and it was just like out of the blue. Another instant was the In-N-Out situation. Oh my God. Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. Like also like the In-N-Out owner like fleeing to Tennessee, like, all right, see you later, lady. Like,
yeah, please go.
Thanks for becoming a billionaire off
Lindsay with her like white trash spelling of Lindsay.
Yeah. I love Tennessee, by the way. I often visit Nashville. My best friend lives there with his wife and kid. Beautiful state, but not great politics.
Terrible politics. Terrible.
So the Chronicle dedicated 2 of their reporters just to focus on car break-in crimes in the In-N-Out parking lot. That was a whole report just dedicated to that for the largest newspaper in the Bay Area. And mind, it was an issue, right? Hegenberger has always been an issue in the city, but it was a major issue. People were getting their cars broken into or having their luggage stolen or something like that. But by the time Thao kind of got her policies done in Hegenberger, we saw a 70% decrease in crime on Hegenberger. But this was after In-N-Out left and after the NAACP held a prayer circle in the In-N-Out parking lot and what have you. And it was disappointing to see them leave because they were still profitable. They had no desire to leave until that report came out. And then I think for them, they were like, oh, this is bad press. We're dipping. And then just, you would have 10, 15 restaurants open a month in Oakland, but you wouldn't hear about it because everyone's talking about how In-N-Out closed. And it's like, it's disappointing. It's disappointing because like now everyone just, the recall campaign just started doing like really bad In-N-Out style merchant stuff off of it and all this crazy stuff. And it was just so overblown. It was so irritating because things improved and the Chronicle never reported on it. So
yeah. And also, I mean, like this brings me to another thing. Is there a leak in City Hall? Because like a lot of these things seem to have come directly from some kind of back channel.
Yeah.
You talked about another one where a person got a hold of someone's termination letter before the person who was going to be terminated got the termination letter.
Yeah.
So there have been these back channels going on. The Raina Webb situation where how did you guys as an administration deal with that? Because like there's a certain kind of lunacy that was coming from inside the building. So how did you guys deal with that?
It's the Oakland deep state.
Yeah, exactly.
So there were people that we knew worked for the city that disliked Thao. I think you see Scott Means now. He used the Health and Human Services division. I worked well with Scott. I never had a problem with him. It wasn't until later I found out that he was really tight with Seneca. So he was certainly one person who was giving details, especially around the budget cuts and stuff like that. I know that he was doing it. There were other people too that I was suspicious of. I'm not going to throw out accusations here, but some of those people no longer work for the city that I believe were also leaking stuff. The letter is extremely concerning because sharing that is very illegal. It was likely a closed session item. I didn't go to closed session. I wasn't high up enough. But what closed session is? Do you know what closed session is?
Define it
for your listeners too. Yeah. So closed session is a meeting of the city council, staff, and stuff like that. And they handle legal issues, staff, lawsuits, what have you. So like, let's say with the coal terminal, right? That back and forth, the city council has to vote to approve like settlements and stuff like that in closed session. But because it's legal matters, the information there cannot be disseminated without like city attorney approval and stuff. So what I theorize happened in that situation is someone in closed session knew that this person was going to be fired. They had the letter and then they sent a photo to someone and somehow Ansel got a hold of it. Which doesn't surprise me because Ansel's whole MO is thinking that he's some sort of some sort of like government watchdog when all he really does is just piss everyone off in City Hall. Like no one likes him at this point because everyone's tried to work with him, and he just gets so like aggro. I don't know what his MO is. I really don't know what his deal is. I suspect that he has been working with Seneca for a long time though. But yeah, someone's been leaking from closed session, which is very illegal. Could get the city in a lot of trouble. And I also know for a fact that some council members have been leaking stuff from closed session as well. And it is really disappointing because you got to keep that stuff to yourself, right? This is legal stuff. You got to